There's a fight in the north, but which way is north?
This is the intro song to the podcast King of the What Now. Join us as we go on a journey, going to talk about pirates, battle and adventure. We think we're pretty funny, we hope you will too. Luffy, he's gotta be the king of something. We weren't really listening, sorry about that. Hopefully he'll achieve his dreams, yeah. Hello, fellow Grand Line adventurers, and welcome to King of the What Now. We're here to discuss the anime One Piece. I'm Joel, a very cute orange tabby cat.
And I'm Curtis, his first mate. Which doesn't make sense, because you went with the cat metaphor.
Yes, gotta keep you on your toes. Okay, everyone, so if you've been following us along so far in this adventure, you know that we have been doing one podcast episode per episode of the anime. Once we get to the part where we can actually watch movies, which is coming up soon, actually, you would expect each episode of the podcast to cover one movie or one episode. We have now moved into a new format where we're going to be covering multiple episodes at the same time. How many episodes we covered really depends on the content of those episodes, our availability, and that sort of thing. But in this episode, the very first time that we're going to try this format, you get 3 for the price of 1. You should have heard an outro in the last episode explaining which episodes we just finished, but that was episodes 12, 13, and 14 of the anime. Chris, do you have anything to say about this new format?
I think it's a smart idea, Joel.
I think it's great. There's a lot of episodes where there's some kind of padding or there's a lot of dead silence and it's kind of tense to watch, but it doesn't give us a lot to talk about. So
yeah, and I think we'll have some better content in our actual episodes this way. So we're not sitting here talking about an episode that's mostly just a little bit of, just exposition stares.
Mm-hmm. And as we've already said before in the announcement episode where we talked about the change to the format, we're not sure how quickly we can produce these episodes. They're likely going to be longer, so just follow us on Twitter or Gmail us if you want to know kind of when the next episode's coming out. We're going to try very hard to do one a week, but we can't guarantee anything. This is a new process for us. Okay, so Curtis, you now have to summarize 3 episodes, but to lighten the load, it'll be more of a collaborative process than it has been in the past. So what is the first thing you remember from our recording or our viewing session today?
Okay, so the first thing I remember is sitting down on this comfortable couch and then setting up a microphone. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
You don't remember that? Were you in a fugue state? You were just you were at your house. You were driving along. You were singing to Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber or whatever topical musical reference I can make here. The Biebs. The Biebs. And then you
He's
just
still
suddenly,
a thing, right?
Yes. And then you woke up. You went and you looked around, and we were in the middle of "We Are" the One Piece Funimation dub.
No, actually, I woke up during your explanation of the new format, so I don't know what happened. You might have to help me out here.
Absolutely. So the last episode that the viewers watched along with us, in the last King of the What Now episode, Usopp basically figured out that no one was going to help him, except he has 3 new friends who are going to help him out. Nami, Zoro, and Luffy.
Yeah. Okay, so that we pick up, and they are preparing to defend the beach shore. And they do this by putting oil all over the one slope that leads up from the beach to the main part of the island. Turns out, this island, being an island, has more than one beach. Has multiple beaches. And they were at the wrong one. The one they wanted was on the northern part of the island, which I guess kind of makes sense. That's where also the Luffy and all of them guys parked their boats, right?
And Usopp assumed that the pirates are coming on the south shore because that's where they had their secret pirate meeting where they loudly announced their plans to kill everyone, and Usopp and Luffy overheard them.
Yeah. So I mean, he had some reasoning behind it, but still, I mean, there's more than one beach. They can land wherever the heck they want to.
Fair enough.
So they realize, oh no, we're at the wrong beachhead because Nami hears some yelling from across the beach because apparently she has super hearing. Mm-hmm. And so they start running for the other side. But hijinks ensue. Luffy doesn't know which way north is and runs away first without following anybody. So he just wanders the island aimlessly for a while.
He doesn't wander it aimlessly. He runs at top speed, but he assumes that he can find north by looking for the coldest parts of the island.
Yes, that makes sense. And then Usopp knows where he's going. And then Nami starts sliding down the oil slick that they put. And then to save herself, grabs Zoro, pulls him down, uses him to get out of the oil slick and run up the rest of the slope. And then Zoro gets stuck there.
I actually remember that differently. See, what I remember was that Nami was like, oh, look at all this oil. I'm the sole female character. This is going to be really sexy, and we'll get some more viewership this way. And Zoro went, no, that's sexist. I'm getting in there. And he threw her out of the oil slick and jumped in himself.
So you're saying that Zoro's the true feminist here?
Yes.
Okay.
Go on with the actual episode summary, though.
Yeah. So, the long story short is we've got 2 characters that are going to the right place.
The smarter ones of the 4.
Yes. And 2 characters who are incapacitated for various reasons. Unfortunately, the 2 stronger characters. So the 2 weaker characters, Nami and Usopp, end up at the slope. Usopp first, actually. And so he starts, using his slingshot to try to stop them. And then when Nami gets there, they use, what are they called?
Caltrops.
Caltrops, yeah. The little, pokey things, for those who don't know what they are. They're like
think of them as Lego pieces. You don't want to stand... Yeah, they're little pieces of barbed wire is a much better explanation. I like to think that he was shooting little Lego pieces, though.
Yeah, and so if you have a kid, it's like all the Lego pieces on the ground, you step on them, that's what they did. Mm-hmm. It was some Home Alone stuff there, because I had to put a reference in somewhere in this episode.
Of course.
So then they try to run up the slope, and it hurts, and they don't do it. I guess eventually they get up the slope. I don't remember how. I don't know if it matters. Anyways, they get up the slope eventually, right? Because, it's only going to slow them down for so long. They take out Usopp, and then Nami just chooses not to fight at this point. And Usopp's like, no, please don't hurt anyone in the village. I don't want you to hurt them. And then, as all the pirates are running past, they suddenly come flying back to the beach.
It's a point of view of Usopp on the ground. He's looking at the sky, and you just see, pirate butts flying past in the opposite direction, down the slope.
Joel, you see pirate booty flying by.
That is true.
Yeah, so they're flying back, and then up come Luffy and Zoro, who have finally made it there. Luffy, I guess, just found his way eventually. You run through enough of the island, you'll find something. And then Zoro used his swords to get past the slick. So he used to like those ice claw things that ice climbers use.
Yes.
So now they're here, right? And the next episode, that was the end of one episode. So second episode.
It doesn't really matter.
That's true.
Where one episode ends.
That's true.
But anyways.
Okay. So then, now that the 2 stronger people are there, Django, who's leading the pirates, is like, okay, well, I need to do something to help these pirates out. So he hypnotizes them and makes them believe that they're stronger than they actually are.
Which Nami just does not buy. She's like, oh, what's that gonna do?
But it actually works. They're very strong. But they also hypnotize Luffy, who now thinks he's stronger than he really is. The pirates are charging up the slope, and Luffy's screaming and charging down the slope. And then he uses Gum Gum Gatling, which is like a lot of punches really fast.
Yes, it's rapid fire punches.
Yeah. And takes out all the pirates. But then he just keeps running. So, I think they must have gone flying back down, because they're back down there with Django now. And he comes running, and they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? He's so strong. And then he goes running by them, and they're like, well, that's weird. He runs up to the ship that is beached behind them and pulls off the front, the whole front beam with this giant cat head as the ornament on it, and then is going to use it to attack them. But at that moment, Django hypnotizes him and puts him to sleep. So he falls, still takes out all the pirates, but he's also trapped under the beam now.
Yes. So,
at this point, Zoro's like, well, okay, I guess all we have to do is take out Django. So he starts walking down, and Django's like, well, it's a good thing we have, 2 aces up our sleeves. And calls out what were they called again?
The Meowbin brothers or the Niabin brothers. Depends on which version. Because Nia is the Japanese word for cat. So just call them the Meowbin brothers.
Okay, so the Meowbin brothers. Okay, so the Meowbin brothers come out, and they are 2 cat-based villains. All the pirates are cat-based, but they're extra cat-based.
Something that we don't always do on this podcast is describe the characters. So there's 2 brothers. One of them is a really skinny guy, but he's got a nice set of abs. You can tell that he lifts. The other one is he's a fat guy. Which there's actually quite a bit of that in the One Piece universe. But the fatter one has a black spot over his face that kind of makes him look like a cow, in my opinion. But it's supposed to be the black and white type of tuxedo cats type of thing. Anyways, that's the Meowbin brothers. 1 big guy, 1 smaller guy.
Yeah. So they go up and they face Zoro, and they are pretty fast. They trick him initially and make him think that they're stupid, but they're not. And then they're fast. So they get up there and they're attacking with their claws. And Zoro's repelling with one sword because the other two were stolen using the cat burglar technique.
Yes.
And so the swords go down the hill. And so he's sitting here. At one point, Usopp tries to help, but the Zoro does not accept the help. He purposefully blocks the slingshot shot that Usopp shoots at one of the cats with his body and gets hurt because he wants to do it himself.
Well, not only that, but if Usopp had hit the cats would have attacked him and Nami, and they're not strong enough to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And Zoro he's willing to take that burden on himself.
Yeah. So Nami, though, wanting to help, runs down the hill to go get the swords, the 2 extra swords for Zoro. But then Django comes up and uses his hypnotism thing, which is also a blade. It's like a circular blade.
Yeah, he's not using his hypnotism skill. He's using the ring he's been using to hypnotize people.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out that ring is sharp.
Yes, and stabs her in the shoulder, or slashes her in the shoulder.
I think that's also when Kuro shows up.
Yeah, as soon after that, Kuro shows up. So Kuro is also Clawhador, in case you're not keeping track.
And there's been hints throughout the episode that you do not mess with his plan. If he tells you to be there at 8 o'clock and you show up at 8:05, he will kill you, he will kill your mother and your dog. And at this point, their plan to attack the village at dawn has been foiled by these 4 idiots, basically.
Yeah. So he's clearly upset and he says, you guys have 5 minutes to clean up your mess. And then there's a little power struggle. I don't know if we want to get into that real quick. But basically, the two Meowbin brothers are like, hey, you've been on this island for 3 years. You're weak. We don't want to follow your orders anymore. And they go up and try to kill him. But then he pulls out his weapons, which are basically
Cat claws.
Yeah, they're like short katanas. There's actually a name for that, but I don't remember what it is. But the short katanas attached to his fingers, right? So he's got 10 of them, 5 for each hand. And it's very fast. Basically teleports. He moves so quickly. And shows them up and it's like, no, you're gonna have to take care of this. Do it, otherwise I'm gonna kill you. And gives them 5 minutes. So they start back at Zoro, starting to attack. I think at some point Nami gets up. She kicks the 2 swords to Zoro. So now he has 3 swords. So he's doing better now, right? Because he's better with 3.
Beats them in 1 hit, specifically. It's called out. Like, as soon as he has all 3, it's swing, and then they're back down on the ground.
That's right. Yeah. And then Nami goes to revive Luffy, who's still stuck under the ship beam. When she's about to revive him, Django throws the blade, his hypnotism blade, at her. Almost hits her, but she ducks just in time because Zoro...
Luffy grabs her and Sorry, everyone, you didn't see me shake my head. Sorry. So the blade's coming out behind Nami. She wakes up Luffy, so it's like 3 things happening at once. Luffy basically pulls Nami down out of the way, stands up himself, and the blade's coming straight for his face now, because he basically swapped places.
Yeah. And for a moment, it looks like it hit him in the face because of the angle, but he caught it in his teeth and he breaks the blade with his mouth. And then at that point, I'm trying to remember what happens.
Okay, so
I'm missing something.
So I'll take over for a second. So Django is now hypnotizing the bigger Meowbin brother. They have names. I think it's Butchie and something else. Butchie's the bigger one.
Yeah.
Butchie's like exploding with muscles, and he was already the strong one. Like, he kicked the ground earlier in the fight and it like cracked the rock, and now he is hypnotized to be even stronger, but he hasn't attacked yet. He's just kind of snarling and drooling in the mouth and... Kaya has now figured out that Kuro is actually a bad guy because Kuro attacked the only other butler, the sheep man named Mary. And that might sound like some kind of weird slur, but no, like, he actually has like the wool hair of a sheep and like the little tiny horns on top of his head.
Oh yeah, so we forgot to mention that Kaya shows up.
Yes, but that's basically the end of the episode that we got to. Kaya showed up and she was like, I'm gonna reason with Kuro, and she tells him like, hey, you're a bad guy, and he goes, am I a bad guy? I've watched over you for these last 3 years. I love you, Miss Kaya, and that's why I'm going to kill you! And yeah, Usopp at this point is pretty badly injured. He took like a stone hammer to the face, and Nami's made a couple of comments about like, you can't even move with those injuries. But when Kaya's in danger, Usopp gets up completely like immune to all the damage he's taken, knocks her out of the way, tries to shoot Kuro in the face with the gun, but as we've already established, he's very fast. He's suddenly behind Usopp. He's like, I'm gonna kill you, boy. But turns out Luffy has a super secret power. He could stretch.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Exactly. Oh, it's so great because in these early episodes, every single villain makes the same mistake of not realizing that he has magic powers.
Mhm.
Anyways, Kuro gets punched in the face, and Luffy's like, all right, let's take care of business. I'm going to punch you some more, basically.
And that's where the episode ends.
That's where the last episode we have now seen has ended, yes.
Yeah. Okay, no, I remember that part. I almost skipped completely over the Kaya stuff, which is important, but there's also a, like, half to 3/4 of an episode of exposition of just them just standing there talking about how Kaya feels.
Yeah, it's about how Kaya feels, and it's Kuro basically manipulating her, and it's effective, but it's hard to recount every single detail because...
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good. It's just like it happens in the middle of a fight scene, so you're kind of get amped up and you're going, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, drop in intensity level for it a little bit, and then it picks back up again. It would work better as its own scene, but that's nitpicking.
Okay, so that's the 3 episodes. Overall, you don't have to give an individual whether you liked each one, but these 3 lumped together, do you like it?
Yeah, no, I feel like this is starting to get it's more interesting now than some of the previous episodes have been. Both in terms like there's more characters, so there's more stuff happening. I feel like the plot's a little bit more complicated than some of the previous ones. I mean, it's not like super complicated, but the action's is better. I don't know. I guess just in general, it's sitting with me better than the previous episodes.
Okay.
The earlier stuff.
Yeah. My personal thoughts, I love to see the different teamwork between the crew members. Well, I mean, 2 of them are crew members, Zoro and Luffy are crew, but the 4 of them as like this alliance group it's really cool because like Nami is like, oh, I'm really excited to use these caltrops. Way to go, you're pretty smart or whatever. Zoro is like looking out for Usopp's safety. Luffy and Zoro show up together and they beat up all the pirates together, and I'm sure either one of them would have been fine on their own, but to have them both make the epic entrance at the same time. Nami is not capable of... Well, she doesn't try to fight, but she clearly understands that if she were to fight the Meowbin brothers, she'd get taken out. So what does she do instead? She supports. She gets Zoro his swords back. She makes sure that Luffy wakes up. She's making sure that all of the troops are rallied, sort of.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. I also absolutely love Luffy getting hypnotized. Our disc that we were watching this on got a little scratched, and so we accidentally skipped over that scene without realizing it, and then later when we got to a scene, it was Luffy underneath the mask. I went, no, we have to clean this disc, we have to see this scene, because Django's doing his 1, 2, 3, Django, and the entire time you can see Luffy like watching, he's kind of like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, he has like the anime angry eyes, he's just like, whoa! And it's fantastic. I love that Luffy's simple-mindedness allows him to use the enemy's hypnotism as a tool rather than a hindrance.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we've now seen Kuro's fighting ability. He has the pussy foot technique or the pussy willow technique. It's one of those two.
No, his is the pussy foot. There's another one I think that the Meowbin brothers use that's a pussy willow something.
Okay. Anyways, Kuro has a special technique that allows him to move really fast.
Yeah.
Really, really fast. Usopp shot a gun at like point blank range and he was somehow able to dodge it. Mm-hmm. So we have Django, whose tool seems to be able to do anything. He can use it as a projectile, he can hypnotize, he can cut close range. We have a ravenous giant cat man who can punch mountains apart, basically, and a really fast butler guy.
Can I just say too, when Kuro uses his like super fast move, looks like he's doing like an Irish step dance.
It really does. Yeah, it's a zoom in of his feet, and it's like his feet are like fading in and out. It's kind of like a after image technique, I guess, if you've ever seen like Dragon Ball Z sort of thing. But yeah, no, it's interesting. We now have 3 people, as far as we can tell, who are still threats to Kaya, Usopp, Luffy, and them. How do you think the next episode's going to play out?
Okay, so there are 3 of them. We've got 2 people who... So of the crew, we have 4 people, including Usopp now. Mm-hmm. And I think, you and I would probably agree that there are 2 that are obviously strong fighting-wise and 2 that are weak, right? So Nami is more just kind of like, is good outside of battle, very manipulative, good at stealing and that sort of stuff.
Not only that, but she also passed out after she woke up Luffy. She was like, that's all I can do, as she was holding her shoulder wound, because that was a deep cut.
Yeah. Usopp, has some fighting ability, but has kind of proven himself inept, except like you pointed out, when Kaya was in danger. So I think what's going to happen is we've got basically 3 non-incapacitated crew members, and they're going to match up with the 3 villains.
Okay.
Probably what'll happen is it'll probably be Luffy and Django. I think Zoro will go for the cat guy because they were already duking it out once, and now he's like super powerful. Mm-hmm. And I think Usopp will go after Kuro, even though that it's like the largest power mismatch of the group, because he has the most personal beef with Kuro, right? Or like he's trying to protect Kaya, and Kuro is going after Kaya.
I love that prediction, and I can't wait to see whether that holds true or not, or whether there's unforeseen complications. Usopp versus Kuro, do you think he would be able to outsmart that super fast technique? Do you think he'll find some way of trapping Kuro or confusing him to the point where he can't use the technique?
I think that's the way he'll have to go. Okay. If he could still if he could find a way to get him back over to the oil slick that they had on the other side of the island. That's a long ways, but you could get him to slip around or something. Or I think he'll figure something out, but he'll have to outsmart him because he's not going to be able to outfight him.
Okay, I completely agree. All right, of all of these episodes that we saw, was there any moment that you thought was that... Who was MVP, and what did they do to earn that title? And you can also say that there wasn't a particular standout moment. You could say that they were all kind of even with each other.
All right, so I have one moment for each of the crew members.
Okay.
All right, so for Luffy, we've got him getting hypnotized and pulling the front of a ship off.
It actually had a little tear come out of the cat on the masthead as it was getting ripped off, which raises a whole question about the sentience of these ships. Yeah. But
I think it was more like a bead of sweat. It was more like kind of on the temple so just a little bit further off. But yeah, I was obviously distressed. And then we've got Zoro. I think for me, Zoro blocking Usopp's shot was pretty cool.
Okay.
It's kind of like, I think for him, like a personal honor, like don't stand in the way, I'm going to do this myself sort of thing. Because he wants to prove, I'm the best swordman. No matter the circumstance, I can take care of it. For Usopp, it's when he goes to save Kaya. Mm-hmm. So when he grabs the pistol and goes to shoot Kuro. Mm-hmm. That's actually more evidence towards how I think the matchup will end up in the next one. He's already engaged Kuro.
Sure.
And then I think for Nami, her going down to grab the swords and being, taking a lot of damage to grab the swords and also to wake up Luffy, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess the swords one specifically, because even after taking the wound to the shoulder, she gets the swords to Zoro. Yep. So they all had good moments in these episodes, which is another reason it's a good thing we combined episodes into one of our episodes.
Because it's easier to, yes. So I thought we were going to get through the rest of the Kuro arc, or Usopp Kuro arc tonight in one group. Unfortunately, that's not how it happened, but I will spoil this. I think we're far enough into the arc for me to say it. There's actually, when we did this podcast, we wanted to try to be humorous for our audience. That's the sort of niche that we're trying to hit. Niche, doesn't matter. And with Usopp, I think there's 2 obvious jokes that you can make. They're the same joke told in different ways. You can either say he's the weakest member of the crew, he's the most fragile, he's the wimpiest, he's the suckiest, and you can kind of make him the butt of all of your jokes because like, oh boy, I bet Usopp's gonna save the day today, and then start laughing because it's obvious that he's not. Or you can take it in the opposite direction and you can be like, you shall call him Captain Usopp. He's the greatest warrior alive. He has 1 million people that follow him, right? Go in the opposite direction, the exaggerated hyperbole route. Unironically, Usopp is one of my favorite characters. Oh, shoot, I guess I just spoiled that he might be around after this arc, but come on, he's in the opening.
Oh, I don't believe you. I think they left him in the opening just because they wanted to have someone with a long nose.
They wanted long nose representation. That's the exact. Anyways, but no, he's a really interesting character because in terms of like being able to punch a bad guy really hard and knocking them out, there's no way he can match Luffy and Zoro. Those guys aren't even human, basically, in how strong they are. But he's also the most cowardly among the group, but he also has those moments where he shines. I'd have to give MVP to Usopp, even though Zoro and Nami and Luffy, I forgot to say. Anyways.
Who's the main character of this show that I love?
He was asleep for like an episode and a half.
That's fair. He was being lazy, according to Nami.
But anyways, Usopp is really interesting, and I would give him MVP for these groups of episodes because he took like a stone hammer to the face, and he was on the ground, and these pirates were running past, and he still did the "don't you dare." He grabbed one of the pirates as they're running past with his hand. He's like, "I won't let you get into the village." And that ambition is even more admirable from him because he doesn't have 3 swords or a rubber body.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, you'll notice, so previously when he's been in, like, a fighting situation, he's very nervous, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's really scared. You can see him shaking. But this time, when he, even from, like, the get-go when he initially engages Django and the pirates at the top of the hill, he's not shaking at all. There's no obvious sign of fear. He's just doing what he needs to do, right?
In the moment, he's able to kind of forget his limitations, I guess, in a certain way.
Yep.
Was there anything from these episodes that felt like filler? Like, as in, it doesn't further the plot, not necessarily it was dragged out, because there were scenes that were obviously dragged out.
No, I think all of this was relevant. Mm-hmm. Like, even, like I said, like, I complained about some of the dead space in the fight, but that was relevant, right? Like, that's important to the plot, talking about, like, having Kaya confront Kuro.
Yep. Friendship power and facing your own kind of, not personal demons, not exactly the right word, but kind of facing your own fears. Kaya was afraid of the sort of person that her butler turned out to be, but she needed that confrontation so that she could grow from it, potentially. Yeah. Or die from it. Who knows? She might not make it to the end of this arc.
I will say, like, I guess they didn't have a choice in the matter, but tactically, they should have tried to keep Kaya away from the battle.
I agree.
Because, I mean, it's the objective of your opponents to kill this person. Bringing them straight to the front line is not a smart idea.
To be fair, they didn't say, "Hey, Kaya, do you want to come to the battle with us?"
Oh, you're right.
They were fighting, and she decided, you know what? I'm going to go take a lovely stroll straight into the mouth of the lion.
You're right. Well, I mean, she didn't... Well, no, I guess you're right, because she was going straight for Kuro.
She was looking for Kuro.
Yeah.
Yep. And then was there anything in these episodes that you think could be built upon in future episodes, sort of like a foreshadowing moment? Did anyone mention the lost temple of Azuzu, and you're more interested to learn about that?
I mean, so we had the moon thing with Klahadore, or with Kuro. I almost called him Nero. With Kuro, talking about, the crescent moon and how I don't know if it's meant to say the crescent moon was affecting him specifically, or if that was what was causing, or if he was just pointing out there's a crescent moon. Also, my heartbeat is or my heart rate is elevated.
Yeah, let me do the exact quote because I was going to bring this up in a moment. But at the very beginning of the episode, when we know that the first episode, episode 12, when he was about to start his massacre plan and he's about to attack the other butler, the lamb man whose name is Mary, he looks at the moon and he goes, "Ah, yes, on a night like this, my blood gets pumping." Or at a time like this. And so I don't think he actually specifically calls out the moon and its effect on him, but like I've heard that some people have theorized that, is he like a werewolf? Like some kind of, not exactly, because werewolves are full moons and he doesn't transform, but could the moon have an effect on this man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can't really be a werewolf, he's a cat.
Yes, that's why I said...
A werewolf is a dog, Joel. Well, it's a dog man, really.
Wolf is a completely different thing, I'm pretty sure.
Well, no, wolf is like a non-domesticated dog.
Okay. You're right. I'm thinking of foxes. We are getting distracted.
Wait, no. I have a question for you now, Joel.
Okay.
Is a werewolf his own best friend? I'm sorry, that's unrelated, but
No, I like it. I like it. If you can bring more puns like that, other than some of the crap that you've brought up in previous episodes.
Crap!
As the editor of this episode, I've had to go back and re-listen to your bad jokes. And there was one where I said, wow, that was bad. So, the other question that I was going to ask, that isn't, our kind of... Anyways. So Kuro is really surprised. He's about to attack Kaya, and Usopp gets up and tackles her to the ground, right? You've already called that out as kind of his MVP moment. And he's just completely shocked. Like, it shows his eyes, like, widening. He's just like, what is this? So my question to you, was he surprised that Usopp could move despite his injuries? Was he surprised at how fast Usopp was moving? Was he surprised to see that level of selflessness? What was the cause of that surprise?
So I think he was surprised by Usopp. So both yes, the fact that he could overcome the injuries that he has, but also that he would be willing to take such action, because I think as far as Kuro has seen him, he's always been, I mean, he sees him as like that kid who shows up in the tree and just tells lies and runs around and he runs around lying to the town, and like he doesn't see him as an actual threat, right? Like, and so the fact that he would actually take action and challenge him, or like put himself in harm's way like that, is not what he was expecting. So I think that's why he was surprised.
Okay. Future enemies who show up in the series, antagonists, will get more fleshed out backstory to the point where Oda really wants you to understand why they're doing what they do. Kuro, as far as we can tell, he has basically two motivations. He wants to have a lot of money, and he also wants his plans to be fulfilled. But neither of those are really like reasons necessarily. So I think that if Oda were to like go back and like redo these chapters, he might give Kuro some kind of a backstory where people weren't kind to him. Like he learned to rely on himself because there was no one else he could rely on. Yeah. So my fanfic moment when I saw that, my brain immediately went, oh, he's been burned before, and he's surprised that Usopp is capable of building this trust and whatever that I'm incapable of in myself.
Yeah. I mean, basically, his background is he's a cat. He's like a human cat. Okay. He doesn't care about other people. He just wants what he wants, right?
Are you saying that he just wants a really nice sunny patch? Is that why he wants the mansion? Because it has the sunroof?
Yeah, no, it's the best sunny spot in the whole island.
That is 100% canon. You can't convince me otherwise. Thank you for helping me appreciate this character even more.
You're welcome.
So, well, you know what? I'm going to save that question for when we've actually seen Kuro finish his fight, however that unfolds. Yeah. But just remind me Kuro is one of my favorite villains from this early stuff. I just don't know why. Something about his charisma really gets me.
I was going to make a stupid joke. It's okay. You can continue.
I knew calling you out for your stupid jokes is going to...
No, you said, however his fight unfolds. And I was going to say, are they fighting with origami? Yeah. See, it was a bad joke, Joel. It was a bad joke. Well, yeah, you looked at me and I wanted to share it. Still, I couldn't hold it in anymore, Joel.
Okay, I have one more question for you, and then I think we could wrap this up. So Kuro's ability to move really fast, his weird dance step thing that allows him to basically teleport, they explain that that's a special technique that he developed. Do you think that someone like Luffy or Zoro could learn the technique with training? Do you think it's just a matter of the right training regimen, or?
Yeah, that one's probably a training thing, because at least they don't indicate that Kuro has any like powers per se. Though I guess we were talking about like the moon thing, so I don't know, maybe it is something special about him, but
I would love if we got an explanation on how he learned that technique or how he came up with it or whatever, because I mean, could you imagine if Nami could learn that technique and she were running around that fast stealing treasure? That would be awesome. But as far as it seems to be that Kuro came up with this technique, and unless you're Kuro, you can't do it, even though it seems like he was just able to unlock it using his own human abilities, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Curtis, do you have any final thoughts? And keep in mind, as always, you're free to say, no, we've covered it all.
I didn't know that was an option this whole time.
I promise you I've been iterating that almost every episode.
Oh, okay. I just don't listen, Joel. I'm sorry. No, I think I actually, now that I know that's an option, I do think we covered it all. I think we got everything. Just wait, like tomorrow morning I'll wake up like, oh no, I thought about something else. I dreamed of One Piece last night and I have so many new things I want to say.
That's when I know that this podcast has become successful. It's not about our followers. It's not about how far into the series we get. It's how much you love One Piece, because my God, I love One Piece.
You don't say.
Yeah. Have you not been able to pick up on that so far? All right, everyone. So that will be it. We hope that this new format is to your liking, and be sure to let us know if you did like it or didn't like it. Actual outro goes here. All right, folks, we've reached the end of this episode for today. It's sad to see you go, but fortunately we'll be here next week unless we get hit by a meteor. In the meantime, you can follow us on all sorts of different social media. We have Gmail, Patreon, Tumblr, all of those are King of the What Pod. So patreon.com/kingofthewhatpod, kingofthewhatpod@gmail.com, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. That's all great. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that name's a little different. They restrict the length of your handles. So you can follow us on Twitter at Kotwin_pod. That's KOTWN_pod. Just take the name of the podcast and abbreviate it.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. That can be iTunes, Spotify, or whatever. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go. We hope to grow and improve just like the Straw Hat Crew.
Thanks again for listening in. Be sure to check the feed next week for the latest episode of King of the What Now. Until then, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, that doesn't need to be literal treasure.
Hello, fellow Grand Line Adventurers. If you're trying to follow the episodes along at home before you watch each episode, the next episode of King of the What Now will cover 4 episodes of the anime. Episodes 15, 16, 17, and 18. Those are Defeat Kuro, Usopp's tear-filled determination. Protect Kaya, Usopp pirate gang takes action. Completely infuriated, Kuro vs. Luffy, final battle. And You Are a Special Animal, Gaimon and His Bizarre Friends. So if you're going to follow along, watch all 4 of those. It should tie up the Usopp episode and then also have a special one-shot kind of episode. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.